while they play together. Tough to say, still to be decided. But there's the nice thing is we don't need to worry about deciding or predicting anymore because we're in this thing.
One of the things that the desk, of course, highlighted is that there's a lack of venerated here for Luminosity, and I wonder how that will impact them. You know, if you're saying that BO1 is very comfortable, then I worry here for Luminosity. If they're really feeling on the day, they're going to start to cook up. And already Luminosity is cooking up getting the spike down here on this first list.
Yeah, and they did so without anybody dropping quite yet. There's going to be the first one as Rob Wiz gets it, but it's going to be traded right back. Oh my goodness, the kill feed bleeds red as one member is left on the side of Built by Gamers. Nicholas on the Omen in a 1v3. Certainly less than ideal. Yeah, he spotted one in heaven, but he's going to be blinded. He's going to get taken out. Thief with a nice 3-piece to open up the map.
You know, ironically, it's also Thief who has an opportunity to prove that he can still get the job done after leaving Immortals, because both sides of the coin, BO1 and Thief at one point or another, BO1, of course, playing a little bit more of a mainstay role on Immortals after being on the roster for several months since the original inception of the team. Thief as well has a lot to prove and has been on, you know, a variety of different teams, and we'll see how he fits in here with Luminosity. Mix-up has had really great success, and the fact that they're moving players around means that they want to continue to grow that success. KZ, a great player on the Charlotte Phoenix, really one of the standout performers there on that roster, and then now, of course, Venerated joining. I mean, we'll see if he's able to join us tomorrow or the day after, but for that, Luminosity needs to make it out of this group stage alive.
Luminosity seems to be certainly helping their cause here in this second round as they heavily invest over on B. Built by Gamers gambled. They didn't have the guns. They all stacked A. And while they're going to be caught with their proverbial pants down as they're found on the opposite side of the map, two have taken the telly, but it's going to be spotted out. KZ, a Proto getting one apiece, and a Proto with the second one as well as Built by Gamers drops once again. Luminosity with the gun advantage are just picking Built by Gamers apart.
It's relatively standard for you to gamble this round away on the pistol. You know, anticipate, are they coming B? Are they coming A? Of course, it was the incorrect call, but that's okay. Now it's the gun round here for BBG, and we also have to point out that Bind, to some extent, does cater towards the attack more rounds than the defense. And for BBG, that ultimately means that the name of the game is how many rounds can they find themselves in a victorious position in this first half. And if you could see something like a 7-5 and 8-4, that's okay, of course, in favor of Luminosity. But then the question becomes, once we get to that second half, obviously really digging down the line here, how do BBG bounce back? We'll see how they bounce back in this round. It's the gun round. This is where they can make an impact. This is when they can start to really showcase their talent. And we'll see the setup. A lot of utility stacked towards the B site, but it's the A read here for Luminosity. We'll see as they walk in relatively untested by some of that lockdown utility.
Look at all that utility on Beast. That thing's lit up like a Christmas tree on that side of the map. I don't know that we're going to get much of a chance to see it at work as the push is going to be on to A once again. And now we're going to see members from Built by Gamers rotate over, but the spike is down. 2, 3 are going to be up from that northern side of the map on that retake there as Foe has been spotted out over in U-Haul. He's not going to get pushed yet. KZ is able to get one Foe with a nice win there. And that's going to drop things down to a 3-2 in favor of Built by Gamers.
Still the spike, of course, sticking in BBG, while the man advantage have to push in and have to act fast. That's the turret that is there, but BO1 and Foe in a great setup to protect Torque from danger while he defuses that spike. So now, as I said, BBG find that round back in their pocket. Didn't really lose a whole lot yet, lost 2 players, but still weapons will be online for the round to follow, and they'll be able to hold on to them for several rounds to come. For Luminosity, it's one of those rounds that you kind of anticipate losing. You don't really have the best way to answer in terms of being able to force up similar to your opponents in terms of having the rifles on deck and even potentially an operator. But, you know, you win some, you lose some. Now's an opportunity with the Vandals and Phantoms that they have in store for BBG to really pack a punch. But this time they're going to be facing some of that utility that we pointed out in that previous round.
At least temporarily. Simo, you touched on something earlier that I wanted to spend a little bit more time on. This is not a small advantage to the attacking side. It's actually 53%. BO1 is able to get the opening, looking for the second and the third. Yeah, he didn't get it, but the damage was done. Torque was there for the backup. The spray transfer was clean, and Built by Gamers strike deeply into Luminosity's roster.
Backup, they had a bouncer, a bodyguard, they had military vehicles behind them. Nicholas, Torque, and Bjor all supporting each other down that B-long side. And now for Luminosity, just down to 2 players. It's going to take an army for them now to push in towards this B site and try to prove that they can tango. That's going to be one. So far, the dancing shoes are in full effect, but it's the 2v4 disadvantage for Luminosity here. Aftershock going to dissuade them from pushing forward. Let's see if this portal call pays off, though.
Yeah, they're going to tell in all members of Built by Gamers. You see them swarming on your minimap as they rotate over to A. Rob Wiz going to get the first crack at things. He's going to shoot, not able to land the first one, and that's going to let them on his site. But Bjorn doesn't miss as he gets 3, looking for the 4th, not going to connect. Oh, there, he does not miss twice. Thief drops. Built by Gamers knotted up at 2 apiece.
You know, it's funny, Wardell's mantra is he don't miss, but Rob Wiz's mantra is he doesn't miss twice. So he doesn't land the first shot, but does find the second and ultimately puts us 2-2 apiece. And, you know, for Luminosity, I'd imagine that this is the round that they will be down to the pistol sheriffs, and we'll see if the deputies on the opposite side can answer back. And looks like they should. Statistically, operators, vandals, phantoms in hand, and not to mention the momentum that they've started to build up in the way that they've played. Confident, poised, collected, not letting Luminosity trip them up ever so slightly. So we'll see how they decide to play this round. Utility swapped, Doug. Utility towards the A side, so constantly mixing it up here on BBG side.
Yeah, but the problem is Luminosity has invested over onto B. They have 3 members and make it 4 here very shortly in Hookah. The last one is going to be going up B long. This is a poor guess.
I think we're experiencing some technical difficulties, or at least I am. Not really able to see the screen at the moment, but once we do get back into that, we'll see how this round unfolded. It's 2-2 apiece. And for the side of BBG and Luminosity, this would be a turning point round. You know, despite the sheriffs, despite the disadvantageous weapons here for the side of Luminosity, still a decent round to put your hand in. And so far, as we now start to come back in, we're seeing that it's 3-5, Luminosity trying to push in, but Thief, the only one with the sheriff, not able to hold him off. Still two kills for him. Still able to knock down some of that economy, and that's the name of the game on the eco there, but not able to close out the 3.
Yeah, and again, we saw a setup where Built by Gamers was on the opposite side. Well, at least most of the utility was. And it didn't matter, right? Built by Gamers was able to rotate over. They were able to land the defuse. And again, Luminosity did not have the guns, really, to put up much of a fight. But it was still a good example where Built by Gamers was able to retake a site in a situation where they did not have the numbers advantage. That's something definitely to keep an eye on, especially when you consider how attack heavy this map is. If they can continually do that, Built by Gamers is poised to run away with this thing and build a very comfortable lead. But once again, it's going to be good against good. It's going to be ops on both sides. Rob Wiz once again missed the first time. We'll see if he does not miss twice. The spike still hanging out back by spawn.
It's just so unfortunate if you look at it in terms of how a jet should be played. You've got the tailwind to get yourself out of the first shot that you miss, or, you know, get out of a sticky situation. But it's usually the first shot that you land, you tailwind, then you've got another shot that you can use and take out a second player. For Rob Wiz, he likes to play with the ankle weights. You know, he's like, I'm gonna miss the first shot, tailwind out. Now I can't escape, but I'm gonna get 2 more picks. You best believe I will. So we'll see if it pans out that way. They are set up towards the east side in terms of a 3-2 stack split. And we'll see now as Luminosity are deciding to push in. They're trying to tag some of those members in the back of the site. They do so successfully from trainer. Nicholas is out of commission, but still no push in onto either site.
Yeah, but I love what we just saw out of Luminosity here. And we're seeing this play more and more as professional players take reps on this map. What they'll do is they'll send 4 up B long, and they'll play around the telly side, and they generally have a Cypher or a Killjoy, generally a Cypher, over on A. The Cypher's job there is to get intel. Anything you can get through showers to have an idea of where the defending team is investing their resources. If it's a weak side, then they take the telly or they rotate over. If it's not, They heavily invest B. They got the intel that they wanted. They rotated over to B, but here comes the Rolling Thunder. Bjorn's able to get one, and it's going to get traded out. Rob Wiz doesn't miss twice. KZ gets him in exchange. However, it's going to be a 2v2, and the spike is down as well. Foe trying to land some shots through the smoke, not going to connect onto anything, as there are two members of Luminosity hanging out in U-Haul. Torque and Foe on the other side trying to fend off the onslaught that it's going to be. The spike begins to defuse. Two are going to drop. There's the showstopper as well, but the problem is the clock is ticking. He's going to trip it, excuse me, and then back out. It's a 1v1 still. He has not stuck the defuse. Stellar on the other side. He's got the Phantom. Not able to land the shots, and he's going to go for it. The Stellar's going to get the shots. Give him the 3-piece. Give him the round win. Luminosity comes out on top.
Oh, that was so close, and for Foe, he tries to use the showstopper to clear it out. To be honest, I might have held on to it a little bit longer, or maybe go up through the opposite side from the truck into lamps. Instead, he opts in to just take the fight straight to the face, and he loses that 1v1. But incredibly close there from the side of BBG. For Luminosity, that's going to give them some good momentum now to start to swing things back into a lead that they originally had started upon. Wow, rough one to swallow for BBG, but you know, for the use of the Rolling Thunder there from Stellar, I think really set up the round. They allowed Björ, who has had the ability to play quite freely on some of these rounds, stop dead in his tracks, taken out in lamp, and then they had so much more space to work with.
Seeing a slightly different look from Luminosity here. While it's a heavy stack onto that telly side, there's no information being gathered. What the Cypher does is he drops the utility to ensure that there's no flank coming in from behind them, as you see the two tripwires on the minimap that are going to block things off. But this is, for all intents and purposes, ideally a push B. They do still have that exit if they choose to use it, but they want to go B here. We'll see if they stick with it.
They're prepared. They're anticipating the push forward. They do have two ultimates available. If the fight gets a little crazy, they can use the neural theft to give them some space. But unfortunately for Nicholas, he's going to get taken out behind the barnyard doors. And now the rest of the team starting to push forward. Björ with the flank, taking out the spike carrier. Now having the ability to back away, but right into the open arms of the opposition. Björ now back sight into the elbow. Spike is going to go down, Doug, but it's going to put us in a 2v3 situation. Björ. They don't know. They don't know. They don't know. They don't know. Foe. He can use this to clear it out. Oh, but he gets a face full of lead, and so does the Prado. Flicks it back around. Björ gets taken down. Luminosity, they walk away with the round lead.
He saw him. They knew where he was. A Proto plays that so well. The shot from the Phantom rain true. He's able to get a really nice two-piece there in a bad spot, right? Like, let's not make any bones about it. The guy was sandwiched in, but he was able to fight his way out of that. Nobody puts a Proto in the corner, and that was just very well played by Luminosity.
Yeah, I have to say, unfortunately, the way that round started, Nicholas, he was in the tuna can, and he just, like, he paranoia'd. He swung to look towards wood, didn't see anybody there, and then he's like, you know what, I'm going to go back the other way. And then, it's just unfortunate. The trainer walks in, takes him out. And he just had no idea. I would have loved to see maybe some support from the rest of the team to have looks towards the hookah side or the long side, but I think he was just kind of alone there as the rest of the team was towards the elbow side. But look at BBG, the long con flank. They're about to meet some of these Luminosity players who have no idea there is an army heading their way.
Oh, but yeah, they're gonna sniff it out. Somehow that was a trade. It should have been disaster. But it was not for Luminosity. Torque was able to get one. A Proto looking for the first. He's going to see the jet dash across, and what goes up must come down. And in that case, it's Rob Wiz dropped down at the hands of a Proto. Foe looks for another one. Isn't going to land as Thief gets the best of him. Luminosity wins an important one.
I like that call there from BBG. They had two members locked down towards the A side. Foe would have been able to work through A short if they had found maybe one more pick in that instance. Like, if they had taken out KZ, of course they would have had to worry about a Proto who was just playing close. But at the end of the day, you'd be putting yourself in like a 3v2 situation at the advantage on the thrifty round. So nevertheless, they do make a dent, but it's not as big as I'm assuming they had hoped to make. But this is the gun round. They can try to start to even things back around 3-5 the scoreline. Still plenty of rounds left to give us like a 6-6 or even like a 7-5. Both teams going back and forth, but Luminosity just seems to have the better angle so far in this first half.
Once again, a heavy utility investment from the KJ over on the B site. as Luminosity works their way up B again. And the truth is, if there's nobody on Built by Gamers who's watching that alley with an op, why the heck not, right? Like hit that spot over and over and over again if they're going to give it to you. Proto gets a nice kill there onto Rob. The flanker gets punished, but there are still two on the side of Built by Gamers who are going to be rotating over, and this could be like shooting fish in a barrel if they continue to push up, because they are all around this hookah space and there's no exit, there's no way out. They're just gonna have to fight their way through this thing, and they're doing so just fine as Thief and Stellar get one apiece. Now Nicholas has shown up, but you gotta wonder if it might be a little bit too late. Luminosity's already on the site with the spike.
They do have From the Shadows. If Nicholas is feeling risky, he can teleport to Elbow and start playing from there. But unfortunately, I don't think it'll work out in the long run. It's just an idea, a possible solution, as now they're looking for one, pushing through hookah, have to deal with two members that are playing close. Thief gonna be the first contact point. Sees one run away. Swing's gonna see a second. Nicholas wins that one. And now down to the 2v3. Likely gonna rotate over, but guess who's prepared? It's Trainer. He's right there in position. If they had wanted to push down B long, they decide to save some of that weaponry. You know, it was a triple lurk play. They had three members pull off the A site and push behind enemy lines. It started out with one player being taken out. It was Rob Wiz. He had the op, but there was still, like you said, two more players remaining. You know, if they win that engagement in hookah, like that is like the biggest Galaxy brain play. But instead, they just got the mop. Like they got mopped up. They got outclassed there by Luminosity, who were able to just hold their own, win the gunfights, get the spike down, and the rest was just pretty standard post-plant scenario. So 3-6, Doug. Luminosity slowly starting to inch forward as we have 3 remaining in this first half.
I do think we talked about this very briefly at the beginning, but I want to touch on this again. Both teams rock a less than optimal win rate on Bind. Again, according to the Spike, BBG has a 22% win rate on Bind at 2-7, and I want to say for Luminosity it's like 40%. Not much better, as they both seem to struggle on this map. Factor that in with how heavily attack-sided this map can be, and you're kind of, this is really kind of how this plays out, right? These guys, again, not being their ideal map, still playing each other pretty closely and pretty competitively. I don't know that the scoreboard necessarily reflects how close some of these rounds have been, but nonetheless, that's where we are. A 3-round lead for Luminosity, and KZ, well, freaking A, KZ's just doing KZ things on the jet.
You know, one of my questions in regards to those statistics, I wonder if Code 7 stats are included in that.
Oh,
and secondly,
this was just from Poplash, sorry.
Oh, okay, then that makes a little more sense, because that definitely when you're putting it into one controlled environment, you can get a lot more out of it. But at the end of the day, you also have to consider how many difficult opponents BBG has gone on to face, and how close some of those rounds are. It would be interesting to kind of take a little bit of a deeper dive. But still, for Luminosity, there's a new era for them. 2 new players coming on the docket. Even without Venerated, they're playing quite well here. Trainer's definitely lifting his weight, but he's the coach. It would be a shame if he couldn't. You know, Fraud as well, having to be put in that position recently, and he showed up on the jet. I mean, it is what it is. So the Trainer doing exactly the same thing here, but they're looking for a push in. Here come Luminosity.
Yeah, and both Rolling Thunders were able to knock up a couple of players apiece, but the spike is down over on the B side. He's going to get flashed. He's going to get up close and personal. He's going to get the kill anyway. Nicholas gets the best of him. The neural theft, excuse me, has been used, and it does not look like there's a whole lot the Built by Gamers can do here. Casey on one side of the telly and Bjor on the other. Nicholas is able to get a kill on the theft. Oh, Bjor's going to get cleaned up. That's going to let him out of there. Trainer gets him on the way out. Nicholas tellies. Luminosity are ballooning this lead in very concerning fashion if you're Built by Gamers.
Just great work from Luminosity. Really putting in that elbow sweat on some of these rounds. You know, unfortunately, in that scenario for Built by Gamers, what was it? Rob Wiz that was held? No. It was KZ who was held up in the portal there, in the connector towards the B short. All he did was buy time for Trainer to just flank around. I mean, Bjor was down to like, what, 2v3, 2v4 scenario. There's not much I feel like he could have done. There could have been a hero play, to be fair, but Casey just bought time. Rob Wiz, early aggressive look towards B short, finds a pick, and a crucial one at that. KZ out of commission for the rest of the round. Gonna have to sit this one out. And now for Built by Gamers, that's an opening. That's a round opening play for their op player down, a mechanically great player down, and for Luminosity, we'll see if they can pick up their pants and carry the rest of this round to a victory. But with their op player out of commission, and now Rob Wiz still cooking up, still fired up, it's going to be a difficult one.
And Built by Gamers still has 2 members on the opposite side of the map. I'd love to see them play this slowly. If you lose the site, let Luminosity take it. Play for the retake here. You don't need to force your life without the cavalry having arrived. You hear the Hunter Fury has been used by Trainer. It looked like he did connect on a couple, but he's not going to land any kills. However, Stellar and a Proto both are. Rob Wiz, Foe, and Bjor drop.
Wow.
He's going to drop it as well. And the ult from KJ has been used. Nicholas tries to keep things interesting, but he's not going to be around for long. Luminosity take another one. And if you're Built by Gamers, 7-5 would have been ideal. You don't want to fall 9-3 at half. I don't care how strong the attacking side is. You don't want to dig yourself that deep of a hole.
Yeah. You don't want to risk it. You know, often you'll see teams in a 10-2 position. They can't claw out from too big of a deficit, you know. But really the tempo and the feel of the half changes completely once we get there. Like Luminosity could get even more dominating in the second half. We just don't know. We'll just have to see how their playstyle really shows. But I like when teams play towards the back of the site. They get really deep in there and try to get involved. And Luminosity did exactly that. Built by Gamers trying to have some aggressive plays of their own. Of course, there's a trade there for Rob Wiz, but the initial play makes them eat their dust. But now the 4v4. Bladestorm available on both sides. We'll see if that comes into play, as this is the last round of the half. You'd expect to see it come through.
Also worth noting, the From the Shadows is available on the side of Built by Gamers, so we'll see if that's used. But right now, it looks like it's going to be a hot and heavy fight over on the A site. Members from Built by Gamers are starting to rotate over. But Luminosity have not committed to this. But Bjorn's going to go aggressive. The utility, excuse me, going to give him the intel that he needs as he's able to take out a Proto. Torque drops as well. Bjorn, one of the last 2 standing on the side of Built by Gamers. Nicholas on the opposite side. You see them kind of jockeying for position as they try to choke their way in, and that's going to force Luminosity out, and they're going to take the telly. They're going to get to B, and they're going to do so and be able to get the plant down before Built by Gamers even gets close to the site.
Spike, of course, going down. Those 2 members are starting to funnel their way through. KZ has a great angle. This is the timing on one. Gets the shot onto Bjor, but it's traded by Nicholas. Now Stellar. Will he have a stellar performance in this 1v1? Nicholas has to be careful. And unfortunately, caught with his pants down. He'll have to pick them up in the second half. Stellar able to bring Luminosity here to the 9-3 finish. And you called it, Doug. This is scary stuff here now for BBG. They're going to have to make short work of these early rounds in order to prove that they still want to fight in this map. You know, for the side of Luminosity, winning the pistol would catapult them into such a huge round lead that could potentially put them at 11-3. And then BBG have to really sweat. They'd only have a 1-round buffer in that instance and really have to fight tooth and nail to get these rounds back. But it ultimately depends on this pistol, Doug. How well will BBG close this out, and how well will Luminosity defend it against their opposition?
That's the thing about Valorant. I was talking to Huynh the other day on a show, and there's an element. Pistol rounds are so important, right? Because mathematically, you win one, technically you win the next one as well. If you manage to win both pistol rounds in a map, you're up 4 rounds, right? Assuming everything else goes neutral. And if you're Built by Gamers to be as far behind as you are, it's a difficult situation to dig yourself out of.
Wow.
But they're not doing so here either. Luminosity just really doing whatever the heck they want with Built by Gamers here. Torque, last one alive in a 1v3.
Not to mention, Doug, 20 HP. Poof, you know, it's almost as if we had no time to talk about how important the pistol was. We wanted to give it a little bit of time. You know, we wanted to tee it up, set up the play. But BBG just ran in like some headless chickens. And they got, what was it? They got double flash there, I think, in that instance. I know Thief used Paranoia. I don't recall if Stellar was there or if he was on towards that B site. But regardless, so many of those players Built by Gamers just fell into the standard Omen trap. Like, those Omen Paranoia lineups, in some cases, they're pretty straightforward. Like, you're just going to Paranoia a choke point. But it doesn't ever work that effectively when the entire family is blinded as they're trying to walk in towards the site. So BBG I didn't quite catch if they were on the force up this round, but we'll see. Oh, they are. So this is very crucial for them to win. If they don't, this whole game might be lost.
And they're all going to be rocking the same thing. Not going well, but Nicholas and Rob are able to get to try to bring this thing to a respectable space. Luminosity is down one here. Casey's going to be rotating around with nothing but the Ghost. He's going to spot one, and well, the Ghost is all he needs as he's able to take care of Torque, looking for the second. Not going to land the shots enough to get the kill, but it is going to be enough to push him back. Casey down to 29 health. Going to hop on board here with Rob as he pushes through U-Haul, checking his corners. He's going to get taken out. Luminosity wins a big one. Built by gamers. Their economy is in shambles.
Yeah, but I mean, in that scenario, you gamble the force up there. Sorry.
Oh, you have to. No, yeah, 1000%. You have to.
You have no choice because you're. I mean, it's either that or you gamble right now. You gamble the gun round here, 11-3. This is where they would have had the gun round. And arguably, you either take the risk at 310 or you take the risk at 311. The sooner you could try to swing things back around, I guess, the better. Because usually when you force up and you win the round after the pistol, it actually screws up the economy insanely for both teams. And that's ultimately what built by gamers have to take the gamble on. But now it's not looking so good, Doug. It's not looking good at all. And that ultimately might have been the nail in the coffin. We'll see what they're capable of. There's room for some ultimates maybe to come into the round the round to follow. I mean, that would ultimately bank on orb control, which is not their focus. They're not looking at long or showers whatsoever. And so maybe a Blade Storm could have been a saving grace. 3 points away. Rob Wiz might get a pick or two here, but we'll have to keep an eye on that.
Simo, you mentioned how crucial it is not to find yourself at too deep of a deficit. And unfortunately, that's exactly where Built by Gamers are. Nicholas doing what he can to keep this close with the Ghost, but a Protoss Bulldog is going to bite way more than Casper can. Stellar and a Proto are able to get to a piece. KZ won as well. Bjor once again, the last one standing. Luminosity find themselves at match point. And you wonder, a lot has gone wrong for Built by Gamers on this map, but you wonder just how drastic of an impact that force on the second round of the second half has on the current outcome.
Yeah, you know, for Luminosity, considering they're a match point, likely to put Built by Gamers in a very uncomfortable position in this group stage. This is such a confidence builder. They just lost to Morning Light, 13-10, a very close series, and of course there was some rain of play that was very, very impressive from the side of, I believe, Shot Up. But for Luminosity, this is a confidence builder. Gives them the hope that they can push through in a very difficult group and find themselves at the end of a positive enough win rate to put themselves in the playoffs. But Built by Gamers have something in store, and that is play upset as they find 2 picks here on the early round.
That's going to open up the B site. They don't need to take the telly. The Jet on the other side is you can walk or you can telly her way out, but oh, they did it. Yeah, they had the open B site, but they decided to take the telly anyway. There is going to be one member, Omen, that Rob Wiz is about to put a shell into his face. Yep, Thief, Night. He's going to get taken out. Luminosity's down to nothing but a Proto, and he had to take the scenic route all the way back over to the A side in a 1v4. He's keeping things interesting as he takes care of Bjor, but can he do it?
1v3. Prado has a little sliver, a little crack there between the box and the smoke. Rob Wiz confidently standing above in heaven, looking down at his subjects, takes one for the money. Now there's 8 rounds for BBG to catch up. It's possible, Doug. It's possible. There's a lot of impossible things that have happened in our lifespan, and this could be one of those things. Built by Gamers winning 8 in a row, back to back to back. And for Luminosity, as I just said, this is a great confidence builder. If we get to OT here by BBG, that would be a great demoralizer. After losing 8 straight, that would tilt me beyond belief. So for Luminosity, definitely looking to close this out as soon as they can. But BBG fighting tooth and nail to keep things within the close here.
It looks like we are in the middle of a technical pause. We'll get you guys info. We're back into the match as soon as we possibly can. But Simo, I want to touch on something that you were mentioning just a moment ago. Yes, crazier things have happened.
Yes.
But here's the thing, right? And don't get me wrong, I really do like this Built by Gamers roster. I love Rob, I love Bjor. I think these guys can put together something special here. But we're not playing on Ascent, right? Like we're not playing on a map that has a track record of being insanely snowbally on one half and being able to rattle off 9, 10 rounds in a row like you and I have casted specifically on the map. We don't see that as frequently here, so it's I think it's just a much larger mountain to climb. Now we take a look at economy. Thank you to the observers who have been absolutely spectacular. By the way, it's good for Built by Gamers. They have all the money that they need, but on the other side, Luminosity isn't an eco around here, so it's certainly possible, at least for 1 or 2 more rounds. But you wonder just how much fight do BBG have in them?
Yeah, looking at some of the positioning for this early round, um, it's this round that I think will tell us a little bit of a better story in terms of how BBG can start to snowball back. For pay attention to KZ. He's got the op. I think that was the only substantial weapon that they were able to afford for the round. He's poised up towards this hookah side, which means he's going to peek and he's going to tailwind out. If he finds a pick, that could really well open up the round. Currently located in that area is Torque, is Nicholas, is Foe. If he takes out any one of them and he is able to escape and then has support there from Trainer, who's playing below hookah on the B site, that could open up a lot of different opportunities for the side of BBG, or sorry, for the side of Luminosity to close this out. But for BBG, there's no real way to anticipate such an aggressive peak early on in short. It's something that
Right.
you have to read round after round after. Like if KZ's doing it every single round, then okay, like let's flash him out, let's smoke him out, let's use the Roomba, let's try to clear out some of that space. But if he finds a pick, especially on a round where BBG are hoping to swing momentum back into their favor, that's heart crushing. You know, that's going to put them in a position where they're in the 4v5. If KZ re-peaks or has that little small peak as he looks through hookah into B short and he gets a second one, like I'm obviously anticipating a lot of successful shots here from KZ, but it's just that the op can do so much damage, which he's already sold. So all of that tee up was for nothing. But if he had it there in that instance, then he would have been in a position to really do some damage, I think. If everything, the stars aligned and the horoscope told him he was going to have a good day. But unfortunately, it's back down to the eco. They'll be down to pistols and SMGs, and BBG likely should bring us to 12-5.
Yeah, but I do think you're right, Simo. If that pick goes in favor of Luminosity early on, that very well could be the final nail in the coffin to find themselves down, even with guns. It's a difficult situation. And then, this is a conversation that we had a lot during Pop Flash. Just how viable, just how good is Killjoy on the attacking side, right? Like we've shown that she can be a little lackluster. I think it was Envy who played her the most out of any of the other pro teams. 6 out of the 11 times that we saw her that entire tournament were at the hands of Envy. So it's certainly doable, but it's Envy, right? Like, can Built by Gamers show more proficiency with KJ on the attacking side? That's what's left to be seen.
That's really the name of the game. We've seen some decent Killjoys. I've casted a few amateur tournaments recently after the Pop Flash event, because that was really kind of when Killjoy started to show up. I mean, just released within the last month, and so not a lot of time to bring her to the forefront. And so seeing teams start to adapt and start to incorporate Killjoy, it's very interesting to see how aggressive she can play instead of Cypher in terms of setting up a push or setting up a peak to look in. Is this place contested? Is there enemies here? It's in a strange way, it's the turret that can be used offensively, which to my own original thought process of how this agent should be played, it's a little strange. Plop down the turret and you're going to use it offensively. It's a little, it can be a little strange, but we'll see. The ops back in hand. Here's the peak. Will the shot come through? It does. And he's out of it.
Oh, that was exactly what you called, Simo, and it could prove to be disaster for Built by Gamers. A nice shot with the op, forced himself up when his peers around him were operating on scraps financially, but it has paid off at least so far. Now, if you're Built by Gamers, again, you have guns. This is a rifle round for you, and it's a must win. Can they fend off this final round from Luminosity. Can they extend this map? Right now, things not looking great.
So Luminosity is just trying to throw a lot of utility to stop them from pushing forward. They've got the flashpoint, they've got the recon bolt, now the fault line comes through. But Luminosity, they're stacked towards this A site, and so this utility is just stalled. And unfortunately, I don't know how long they can hold on here. If they can even find anything, that would be the biggest success. But Thief, he's going to get behind enemy lines, use from the shadows, try to close this out. It's a trade of kills, slice and dice for the Spectre, and Trainer still manages to get away. Now holding the angle, that's going to be a second Blade Storm that is able to get the job done, but Thief all along from behind, now going to set up the rest of his team here for the retake.
A 2v3 with the map on the line is built by gamers. Rob Wiz, once again, we talked about him a number of times. He's electric when he's playing well, but that's certainly going to hurt a Proto able to get the best of him. Thief sticking the defuse. KZ gets the shot, and Luminosity gets the map win.
Very, very well played there from Luminosity. Thief, you know, you don't normally see a very successful from the shadow attempts. Like, it's usually used to get into sight quick, or to, you know, especially on a map like Haven, get up into heaven and gain a little bit more sight